Okay, so we've made it to day number 7, and I'm glad to be here. Glad to have stuck to this for 7 days, despite the fact that no one might ever see these. I will, and I'll be glad that I stuck with it because there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I might not be portraying here, especially just because it's kind of the same shot each time. Got my bookcase behind me in my office, talking to a camera, but really what happened about a week ago is I made a decision that as a man, I needed to start sacrificing. I needed to start letting things feel like a sacrifice, despite the fact that I didn't want to do it. I needed to do it. There were some things I think holding me back from feeling like I was laying it all on the table, and that I was giving life and these chances that I had all that I have. And I think that that's a good thing to talk about today, is really laying it all on the table and going about life in a way that you're going to be proud of no matter the result. I think it's important that most successful people, or most people that we would consider successful, always say, that you should, if you've got a dream, go for it because anyone can achieve their dreams. And I think there's a little bit of a selection bias there, because I think everybody who ends up achieving things has to have believed in themselves, right? Because they wouldn't have done it otherwise. But there are some people who do believe in themselves who don't quite get exactly what they envision. But I think what's important is not whether or not they reach the goal that they thought they were going to get to, but the fact that they tried and that they're proud of themselves. I don't think that most of us really do lay it all on the table. And I'm not telling you right now that I do that perfectly. I could give you plenty of examples each day of ways that I'm not giving it 100%. I'm not being the exact man that I want to be, doing the exact things I want to do. But I'm trying to do some things that are really big changes for me. Things like running in the morning, things like not being on my phone. I mentioned that plenty of times. But it really is starting to have a huge impact on my life and things that I didn't really expect. I really am starting to see that I don't get as tired working because I think that feeling of tiredness was really a masked feeling of wanting to just go do things that were more fun. So some part of my brain was communicating to itself that whatever I was doing was just tiring. It was just stupid. It wasn't worth the time. Go do something else. Because I definitely had the energy to go do other things that were a little bit more stimulating to my mind. Scrolling through social media, playing video games, whatever it is. But for whatever reason, I was telling myself that I was too exhausted to do these things that were much more important. And so laying aside those things recently has been really impactful for me. And if you decide to do the same thing, I'm convinced that you'll feel the same way. But I really thought to myself about a week ago, Benji, you're getting older. You're not like old by most people's standards, but you're getting older, and at some point in time, you got to make a decision to try and give it your all. And I'm moving, and I'm thinking about what that's going to look like more and more, because I tend to be the person to take things not quite to extremes, but I set up too high of restrictions for myself and tend to have to back those off a little bit, like dietary restrictions or whatever it might be, things that aren't necessarily doable right in the long term and can lead to burnout and feelings of stress that I put on myself instead of like freedoms that I give myself. Because really letting go of social media has freed me from certain things. It's freed me from the bondage to excitement and stimulation, right? Not playing video games has freed me from the feeling that there's these other things that are better for me, these worlds that I can build that are virtual, that are more important for me, when that's just not true. And so laying aside certain things has a freeing effect, whereas sometimes restrictions that we can put on our life are a little bit legalistic and can lead us to burnout unnecessarily and cause us to throw away all these good habits that we've set up. So I want to be careful about those things as I add them to my life. But I wanted to leave you with an encouragement today that, it's Sunday, we're about to go into a new week, and I want you to consider the things that you're unwilling to sacrifice. and ask yourself why, and ask yourself what you would really be giving up if you laid those things aside. Ask yourself whether or not you've gone deep enough to really understand what blessings could come on the other side of giving up those things. And I think when we don't know the answer to that, it really begs the question in our life, have we really given ourselves reason to complain that certain things aren't working out for us when we're not even willing to put in the work that it might take? And we don't know what it's going to take yet. And so I think that, and I've told my wife this too in multiple times, that, for instance, about a year ago, I had to study really hard for this exam, a qualifying exam in PhD. In a PhD program is really big. It kind of marks your entrance in a way into the program, and you can stop worrying about certain things. But that summer I really had to give it my all. And at a certain point, you're studying and you're doing things, and you really don't know what difference they're going to make. You don't know if what you're studying is going to be on the exam at all, because there's not a lot of guidance about what exactly to study. And so about a week or two before the exam, I looked back on what I had done in the summer, and I told myself, pass or fail. I felt like I was proud of myself for the time I put in, the effort that I expended, and I was ready to go into the exam knowing that I didn't piss away my opportunity. And so I think that that's something that you should consider as well. Not whether or not what you're going to do is exactly going to lead straight to the outcomes you want in the time frame you want, or the outcome is going to look exactly like you have been told it's going to, or that you envision for yourself. But are the things you're doing going to make you feel like you really left it all on the table, you left it all on the court? And if that's not the case, I think you should really reconsider things. Not because life is all about chasing success or any of these things, but life is really about getting the most out of life that you can. And, for me, I don't want you to think that I'm putting these things in my head, these goals in my head, and laying aside the relationships, in my life or other things like that. But I think really sacrificing your personal comforts, not only for future success that you want for yourself, learning how to do certain things, making it into certain places, whether in your intellect or whatever it is, or sacrificing yourself so that you can give more time to others, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be upset about not getting more selfish time. We're going to be upset about not giving life the chance to show us what it has for us when we give up those things, because that'll always be there. And Henry David Thoreau in Walden has a great quote. It says that most men lead lives of quiet desperation. And that's something that you should consider today, whether you're a man or a woman, is that are you leading a life right now of quiet desperation, and what are you going to do to fix it? Because the door stands in front of you. There are things you need to do, right, to see if there's anything on the other side. So consider the sacrifices you might need to make this week that are holding you back, and ask yourself, really, if you haven't made that sacrifice, why? What are you really going to be giving up? So that's what I leave you with today. I hope to see you again tomorrow. I'll probably try to give you a little bit more of like a daily look at what I'm trying to do. Not necessarily to act like what I'm doing is the perfect thing, but just so you guys know that, as a normal person, these are the things that I'm trying to instill in my life to change my focus, my outlook, my ability to do hard things. So, yeah, that's what I leave you with. I hope you have a great week. Hope you have a great night. But be thinking about what else you need to lay on the court.